me. I've got my AirPod in, so I was just making sure it's probably easier to hear me, especially if I'm farther away from the camera. So we're going to do golf mobility today, and I should always preference this that, even if you're not a golfer, this is a mobility series or session where anybody can benefit from it. So especially if you're a golfer, we focus on hip mobility or generally joint mobility, specifically hip mobility, I would say. Posterior chain flexibility. We work on mobility of the upper back, shoulders, neck, scapula. We'll even do some thoracic spine rotations, so range of motion for your thoracic spine. And we'll hit a couple different areas, but even if you don't play golf, this can benefit you because it's basically working on flexibility and mobility. And I think everybody can use that. So we're going to start right now on my hands and knees, cats and cows. If you've ever done yoga, this is probably something you've done before. We're working on our spinal flexibility, mobility. I'm going to bring my chin away from my belly button, arch my back, and then round my back. Bring my chin towards my belly button. I'm going to alternate between these two positions, cat and cow. Now, especially for golfers, this is a great drill because I'm working on my pelvic tilt. Okay, like the ability to control the pelvis, very important for golfers. Not only do we tilt our pelvis during your golf swing, also rotate it, which I'll show you in a bit. I'm just working on that, trying to move my whole spine all the way up from my neck down to my base of my spine. Alright, you can even move slower, really try to move the individual vertebrae. Right? Alright, from there I'm going to show you guys a little adductor stretch. Alright, so there's anywhere, I think I've talked about this before, anywhere from up to 20 different muscle groups that attach to the pelvis in some form. So here, adductor, obviously the muscle inside your thigh, stretching that, right, by kicking my leg out to the side and then just rocking back and forth. So I'm putting tension down into the floor. So not even moving, I can feel already a stretch right here. Right? And then I start moving it back and forth to feel the stretch move around my inside of my thigh. Alright? I'm going to do about 10 of these total, and I'll switch legs. This is a great one. I work with, use this with a lot of clients, and there's pretty much the vast majority of clients, especially if they're not used to doing this movement, the second they put that leg out, they're like, oh yeah, that's tight. That is probably a very neglected area, especially for males, I would say, but everybody in general. Think about the inside of your thighs, your adductors, right? Or your groin muscles, right? So people talk about that, refer to it as a groin muscle. Alright, so remember, I like having this foot nice and flat. Sometimes if people don't have the ankle mobility, they go on the side, but I don't feel it as much. That flat foot really allows me to kind of force the tension into the floor to really feel that stretch. Right? So I'm just rocking back and forth. Really focusing on the mobility and the flexibility of the muscles and joints that kind of make up the pelvis. It's so crucial to golf because the swing starts, both parts of the swing, we refer to like the back swing and the downswing of the swing. There's portions of the swing, golf swing. It starts with hip movements, right? Or hip rotation, turn, right? So being able to control that, which mobility has a big part of that, neuromuscular control, which is a part of mobility, that can help you generate in a very efficient swing. TPI, the Tyler's Performance Institute. All right, I'm going to go back to cats and cows. Now what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to do a little variation, right? So you can do cats and cows. I think that's a good way to kind of work that pelvic tilt, right? So another, speaking of TPI, one of the things that kind of a inside secret that TPI, the screening, or level 1 screening, which is like a golf mobility, flexibility screening that really, tests, finds, identifies areas that physically that you might be deficient in that could help with your golf swing. And one of the first tests is the pelvic tilt, right? So we're here, I'm in my golf position, I arch my back, and I round my back. So I do an anterior tilt and a posterior tilt. Right? And this one's a little bit more challenging than cat and cow. Working a lot of same muscles. Of course, I'm not doing a whole spine. I'm working on the flexibility or mobility of the spine. I'm really focused on the lower back and the pelvis. Right? Arch, round. So if my pelvis was a bucket, I dump the water out the front, that way. And then I dump the water out the back, right? So that's a pelvic tilt. That's a good little warm-up too for golfers before you head out there around. Standing up in your golf hinge, maybe even just hold your club on the ground and do your pelvic tilts, right? All right, so now we go back to adductor, but I'm going to have a little variation here. So instead of doing the rockers, I'm going to do a reach through. So I do an adductor reach through. Same side arm reaches through. I can drive him to reach up to the ceiling, and then reach up to the ceiling on this side. Okay? Now this is focused on not only am I getting stretch in the adductor still, I'm working that thoracic spine mobility, range of motion for my thoracic spine, mid-spine, right? So that's the part, or that's a portion of your spine that really rotates during the golf swing. All right, so you want to focus on, when they talk about shoulder turn, you really want to focus on, and one of the big portion of that shoulder turn is increasing your thoracic spine range of motion. So that really rotates, I believe, referring once again to the TPI test, or level 1 screening. The thoracic spine, they're looking for about 45 degrees in rotation, right? A minimum of 45 degrees. Most people can achieve that. There's some, every once in a while, there's some people that have inefficiency, whether it be mobility, flexibility limitation, where they can't hit that 45-degree range of motion for the thoracic spine. But most people can hit that. But working on it too, creating greater range of motion, because one way you can help swing the club faster is if basically you have the club in the air for a longer period of time. Now, like I said, this is all based on physics and stuff like that, so sometimes if you have a longer swing path, maybe you have more swing faults. But in theory, you can put more force, because there's more time the club is in the air, and you put more force, and based in physics, we can swing the club faster. All right, so now I'm standing, got my adductor stretch. I'm going to go ahead and do a neck car and scapular cars, right? So car, control, articulate rotation. So now we're going to try to take our neck joint through its full range of motion, all right? I'm going to pull my chin in, chin to chest, drag on my chest to my right collarbone. I'm not the greatest at this, my neck mobility is a little poopy. Then I side bend until I turn my ear to the ceiling, and try to drag along the back of my neck. My chin to the ceiling. Once again, ear to the shoulder. Don't shrug. Keep it down. Chin to collarbone. Back to my chest. Alright, then I'll reset and go the other direction. Alright, so I'll show you from this angle. Chin to chest. Or retract. Chin to chest. And drag to the left collarbone. Side bend. My ear to the ceiling. Then drag my chin to the ceiling, side bend, ear to shoulder, chin to collarbone, back to my chest. Alright, now scapular car. Like that neck car like that, maybe 2 or 3 each way is a great way to work on neck mobility on a daily basis. Alright? Alright, so now scapular cars. I'm going to show one arm at a time. Even though I like doing both arms, I'm just going to do one arm at a time because I think sometimes if you do both arms, maybe you have a dominant arm, which most people do. We have dominant sides of our body. So sometimes you work and you feel like you're doing both sides equally, but only maybe one side's more efficient than the other. So we're going to do one arm at a time, right? So I got my thumb to the sky, and I'm going to focus on my shoulder and kind of show you from the side view. So I'm going to elevate, almost like I'm shrugging. I'm going to retract, where I pull this back, depress, drive my shoulder blade down towards the floor, towards my back pocket, then protract, where I kind of push it forward, right? Elevate, retract, depress, protract. Now, like some people have rolled their shoulders, which are kind of, in a theory, you're doing kind of a, I would say, less, tedious or less meticulous, is probably a better word, scapular car. Now I'm going to reverse it. But I like having this, you use your thumb as a big gauge, because sometimes people can go like this and they're bending their arm like this, but then they're working their elbow. You're not working your scapula, right? So if you keep that arm locked out, that thumb to the ceiling, you can really keep yourself in check doing that scapular bar. All right, now I'm going to try to show, I'll do the other arm, I'm going to try to show you from the back side, see if you can see the shoulder blade working, all right? Elevation, retraction, depression, protraction. All right. This is my, I don't know if I would say this is my bad shoulder, but I think my left shoulder is probably limited compared to my right shoulder. Now I'm going to go the other way. Two more. Last one. All right. So now we got the scapular cars. Now I'm going to work from the hinge position, since remember when we golf, you're essentially in a hinge every time you address the golf ball, right? Even though depending on your height, it could be higher or lower, you could be hinging more depending on the club also, but you're always hinging, doing a slight hinge when you address your golf ball, right? So the hinge pattern is something you should be working on. If you do golf fitness, you should be working on your hinge pattern, whether you're strengthening, the flexibility that it goes along with it, always should be working your hinge pattern. So I'm going to do a kind of a deep hinge, right? And I'm going to do a swimmer. So I'm working shoulder mobility, elbow mobility, scapular mobility. A lot of upper back and upper body mobility, right? Hinge, shoulder blades together, turn palms to ceiling, pull behind my back, protract, retract, lift, all the way back up. Like I said, I'm just staying in this hinge pattern. There's also a little strengthening drill, so I'm just holding this isometrically, this hinge pattern. All right. Now, speaking of cars, since we're on the car kind of theme, so you know that wasn't a car I just did. That was the swimmers from the hinge position. I'm going to go into hip car. I'm going to do a tabletop. And I think if you guys follow us, whether you follow us here on Tampa Strength or on our golf-centric page, Golf Training Systems, you know the hip car is, there's many ways to do that. You do it so many different ways. I think everyone has its benefits. Every different method or different way we do the hip car has its benefit. This is tabletop hip car, okay? So I'm in my tabletop, screw my arms in the ground, knee to elbow, abduct, internally rotate, and then I extend, heel to ceiling, externally rotate, and repeat. Knee to elbow, abduct, internally rotate, extend, externally rotate, and then knee to elbow. Good. One more on this side. Once again, I think everybody's person dependent, but I think every golfer can work on improving and or maintaining their hip mobility. And if I had to pick one area of golf fitness that if you only could do one area, hip mobility would be it. And if within that, if I could pick one movement to do to to keep your, essentially your improve or maintain your hip mobility, it would be the hip car. Let me see it. Knee elbow. Internal rotate. Extend, external. I might have not gone backwards that last one. And you're trying to minimizing lower body or lower back movement, extension, flexion in that lower back. All right. Whew. All right, so once again, I want to do a little lat stretch. My favorite lat stretch, real simple. Probably some of you have done it before. This is child's pose, right? You can do this on the wall too. If you have a golf club, you can hang from the golf club. This is a good one too. But we're just in the child's pose. Hands are way out in front of me. I'm putting all my pressures on my palms, right? I'm not resting. There's no tension there. Sure, you get a little bit of stretch, but I am pushing my palms into the ground. Keep my head off the floor, breathing into the stretch, keep driving my palms down. And then I'm going to slide. So I'm going to slide to the right and I feel the stretch really down this side. Sorry, I slide to the left. So I feel it on my right side. Stretching your lats, your obliques. And then a slide. The opposite side. Flexible lats is very important to the golf swing. Flexible and strong lats. You know, so if you have tight lats, if your lats aren't flexible, you can only work. You really only, once again, kind of limits your range of motion, right? And you can only train in that range of motion too. So if you're trying to strengthen your lats, you have a smaller range of motion for your lats. You're only strong in a smaller range of motion. So like I said, doing a lot of rotational strength drills can really strengthen that upper back, whether it be like a cable movement or pull down movement with rotation. That really can strengthen that upper back, especially in that range of motion that's kind of, you know, that you would use in your golf swing. All right, last but not least, one of my favorites is the open book. All right, and side lane open book. And there's probably some variations that you guys have done. They might call it something different, but this is a go-to, especially once again for a warm-up drill before your round of golf or on a daily basis, in my opinion. So, I mean, here you got kind of different ways you can do this. You can have your knees stacked, and it kind of depends on your range of motion. Hand on the back of your head, but actually we're going to do arm extended. So here, I open up, exhale, and bring it all the way around. My head back to the starting position. Okay, so I get thoracic spine and I get some shoulder mobility here. This is also a really good lower back stretch. So those muscles, the fascia that runs, you know, diagonally across your lower back, you're opening it up and stretching that fascia, right? So you're not necessarily stretching any muscles in your lower back, but the connective tissue, the fascia that runs over top of those muscles, that can get tight too. So stretching that is beneficial and it helps with sports performance. Sorry guys, interrupted by a phone call. Apologize. All right, so what I was saying, you might be able to notice here, essentially my right shoulder blade is almost touching the ground over here. Right, so this is, I have more range of motion going to my right. You know, obviously being a right-handed golfer, that kind of makes sense, right? Well, you can see, let me see, I'll show you. At left side, I'll show you guys, this might be a decent view. Sorry, still my, oh my God, I don't know my right from my left. All right, so here, and I open up, not as close, right? So, you're going to have asymmetries, right? Whether it be mobility, flexibility, strength, you know, so you're going to have asymmetries from one side of your body to the next, or from one side of the body to the other side. And that is okay. Especially for you golfers, it's probably, you know, a given since we only swing one direction the whole time if we're lucky, right? One of the keys, though, that we do like single side training is that we try to get those asymmetries closer together. So single side or non-dominant side training too. Ooh. So what I mean by that, like I said, if you're doing a golf fitness drill, say you're doing a med ball throw, which is a great power drill for golf, and you're throwing with your right arm, right? Doing a shot put throw. And you only did your right arm, your right side would get stronger, but one of the keys to help get both your right side stronger and to basically strengthen your whole body is also throw with your non-dominant side, right? That actually, they say that research suggests that you do non-dominant side training, it speeds up, it would basically improve your dominant side. So not only is that what we're looking for, I mean, not only are we looking for that when you do golf fitness, is improve your dominant side, whether it be swing speed or strength on your dominant side, but also you're trying to get the asymmetries closer together, whether it be a muscle imbalance, strength imbalance. You're trying to get those closer together because the farther apart is, research suggests that there's more likelihood for injury. So we want to minimize that, obviously, right? All right, so that's it for today. So some golf mobility moves for you guys. If you didn't join us or you missed the beginning part of this, you can always go to our YouTube page, Tampa Strength. I put all the live workouts there. I actually have a couple behind, so I know I need to get on there. Today, I will load up everything, including this one right here, up onto our YouTube page. So go back and look at that. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We're going to do it again next Friday, and I will see you then.